Good morning and welcome to worship at First Unitarian Church of Rochester, New York. In honor of Earth Day this upcoming Wednesday, we're going to begin by singing together the hymn Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry-land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Welcome to online church at First Unitarian Church of Rochester. I'm the Reverend Sherry Halliday Kwan, and I'm the lead minister here. I'm in a new corner of my home. We're at about a month of worshiping together, physically distant, but socially and spiritually connected. Because here at First Unitarian, it is our mission that through spiritual connection in community, we listen deeply to others and ourselves. We open to wonder and transformation, and we serve together with love and humility. It is so good to be with all of you. Reverend Bob Renjilian, our associate minister, our interim associate minister, is preaching today. We have Tommy Snell leading music, Arson's on piano, but Brock from First Universalist is also joining us. Maya Waller is our worship associate, and Harley Pinto is offering a special invitation to us today, sharing a little bit about his spiritual journey and his deepest aspirations for our community together. There are many people who make worship happen, and even though we meet online and in some ways things have gotten, I guess, a little more simple, it feels like it takes even more people to make our gatherings possible. We're about to add one more person to the team. In August, Reverend Bob will, sad for us, but happy for him, move on to another community. And we will have a new second minister join our team. And we've had an incredible team working on this progress. So without further ado, I want to share with you our announcement video so that you too can know who will be joining us soon.
We are so excited to announce to you our new second minister. This person will be joining us in August, but it's been a long road. Ellie and Susie and Nicole and Christina and John and Brownlee and Julie and Ajamu have been engaged in this labor of love for what feels like a really long time now. You've heard this a lot over the last couple of years, but being on a search team is no easy road to travel together. Whether it's meeting on Zoom or pouring through very, very extensive ministerial records, then meeting with people in person, and then meeting with them again by Zoom when it turns out we couldn't meet in person, this team has brought an incredible amount of passion, a diversity of perspectives, and an immense number of hours into this effort. We are so excited that this search has been a success, and we'll have a new minister joining our team, helping us light our chalice today and for a long time to come, helping us create spiritual connection in community.
Our new second minister's laugh will resonate throughout the building.
It's with great pleasure that I welcome our second minister to our congregation. She's genuine and she's passionate about the values and the principles of Unitarian Universalism. I can't wait to see her and Reverend Sherry in action.
Our new minister has a very warm and open personality. She will invite you in, and she has a great track record of playing well with others.
Our next second minister comes to us with a passion and gift for pastoral care, having served as a social worker and hospital chaplain on the journey to UU ministry. This minister comes with a heart open and big enough to comfort and support us all.
I look forward to a second minister who insists we engage each other faithfully and believes we each bring a piece of whole truth to the exploration of adult spiritual development.
Our new minister has experience leading worship through the Church of the Larger Fellowship, a congregation without walls, connecting people all over the world for spiritual growth, worship, learning, and mutual support.
Our soon-to-be second minister believes we engage with each other in spiritual work, even though we each have our individual spiritual journeys. A direct quote from them is, "Worship is an exploration of spirituality in community."
Our new second minister's call to ministry is influenced in part by a sense of responsibility to make UU spaces as welcoming as possible. This individual has seen firsthand how religion can cause pain in the world. As a result, they're able to minister to those who may have had a turbulent spiritual background and help ease some of that suffering. They have a calming presence and a great laugh. One reference that we spoke with was quoted as saying that this person ramped up the joy when I didn't even realize it needed to be ramped up. I look forward to ramping up the joy with them, and I hope you do too.
Wow, thank you so much for such a warm and wonderful introduction. It really touched me to be seen that way. Thank you again. I am Margaret Belazaire. I am so thrilled to be joining your ministry team at the First Unitarian Church in Rochester as your second minister. When I was at your congregation about a month ago, I got a taste for the type of community you are. Very engaging, very creative, curious, and I got a taste of that first from the search committee, and then again when I visited your congregation for service at Sunday and spoke to some really lovely people. Of course, I'm looking forward to getting to know the rest of you and for you to get to know me. And so looking forward to being in community with all of you. And if you would now join me in lighting the chalice. And say with me the chalice lighting words in unison. May the flame we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, and seek liberation and the fullness of community. May it be so.
Though we've all lit our chalice, I imagine many of you were still reeling from the news of a new person who will be joining us here. Though, of course, there are new people every Sunday. It's a little bit different when that person's up on the front, I know. So if you haven't already done so, please light your chalice and then type into the chat a welcome for Margalie. We'll save it and send it all to her. We'll send her a card like the cards that many of you are getting as well, with excerpts from our chat. And I invite you to settle into worship with us. I've got to find my matches so I can light my chalice, and I will be with you all together.
Pre-coronavirus, I dedicated a lot of time and energy to social justice issues in my community. One of those issues was the debt and budget cuts facing the Rochester City School District. And back in December, when all of that came into light, student activists were on the front line. But even during life, when it's in its normal swing, adolescents struggle with inner demons. And right now, that struggle is even more intense. I have been involved recently in some online Zoom conversations to keep the conversation going. And seeing the engaged parent, teacher, and community activists keep the fight going is inspiring and humbling. And that's why we come to church, because we know that when we are unable, other people will fight. And we know that when we are able, again, we'll be given space to rejoin the fight. We know that no matter what we give in service, it's influential, cherished, and valued. Thank you.
Indeed, collective action and the power of community is a big reason we come to church. And perhaps my favorite collective action is singing together. So continuing our worship with the collective action of hymn singing in the spirit of collective action against climate change, I invite you to sing with me now, "For the Earth Forever Turning."
Hello everyone, my name is Harley Pinto. I've been coming to First Unitarian my whole life. So when I began thinking about what I wanted to do for my Eagle Scout project, doing something with my church community was an obvious choice. One of the greatest global issues facing my generation today is climate change. So I decided that I wanted my Eagle Scout project to be oriented towards action against it. As I began to look deeper into the topic of climate change, I found myself feeling discouraged and powerless to help. And I realized that many other people probably feel the same way. When faced with globally large threats, many of us end up telling ourselves, what can just one person do to make a difference? And that is when I discovered Project Drawdown. Now, Project Drawdown was launched to identify the 100 most viable solutions to global warming and to share them with the world. In the context of climate change, Drawdown provides the answer to what we as individuals can do to make a difference. For each of their 100 solutions, there's a list of specific actions or eco-challenges that everyday people just like us can take on. And so I decided I would lead our church in a Drawdown eco-challenge. Now, there's a quote I take wisdom from by Ronald J. Sider, who was a theologian and social activist in the mid-1900s. He says that though no one can do everything, everyone can do something, and together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. That's huge. The wisdom I take from Ronald Sider's words is this: no matter how small of an act we do, everyone can do something, and it will take all of us collectively doing these small acts to make a change in the world. If anything, I feel like what's going on today with COVID-19 teaches that lesson profoundly. Whether it's by maintaining social distancing and staying in our houses, sewing masks, or providing the key services of food and healthcare, each of us individually is doing our part to combat this global threat. And it's going to take all of us together to defeat it. It's going to take all of us together to change the world. And that is why, even in this time in the world, we are stepping up to the plate to take on climate change. Here at First Unitarian, myself, along with our Environmental Justice Committee, have organized a community drawdown eco-challenge for all of us to take on. What better a time than when we are already working together to unite towards climate action? So this eco-challenge has 3 goals: to educate ourselves on issues surrounding climate change, to spread awareness of what we as a congregation can do to help, and to empower each other to do it. And isn't that what we're already doing here at First Unitarian? Our church mission is to listen, open, and serve. And for this project, we will, through spiritual connection and community, listen to climate specialists to educate ourselves about current issues, open our awareness to what we as a congregation can do to help, and empower each other to serve needs much greater than our own, not just on a community level, but on one that will hopefully have an impact globally. And here's how you can get started. So we've set up the project so that you can join a team or create a team on the Drawdown Eco Challenge website. And then as a team, choose and complete eco challenges to earn points for the whole congregation. Additionally, team leaders have the opportunity to earn a limited edition project patch by completing a few activity requirements. This is what it looks like. Imagine that, your very own official Scouts BSA patch. Wouldn't that be awesome to have? So our project kicks off this week to honor the 50th anniversary of Earth Day and runs for 6 weeks, ending on May 31st. After the service, there will be a link on the closing screen to uuecochallenge2020.org. That has all of the information you will need to get started. This link will also be sent out in an announcement on Tuesday for the project. Simply follow the link, join a team, or create one of your own, and get started completing eco challenges. It's that simple. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. My email will be included on the site. And so I invite you, your family, and your friends to join us. Anyone can join regardless of age or ability. It's going to take all of us together to combat climate change. I invite you all to join me and the Environmental Justice Ministry here at First Unitarian in taking on the Drawdown Eco Challenge. For though we may be physically separated, it is only together through our spiritual connections that we can change the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Harley. Thank you all for being here. I invite you into this moment of prayer and meditation. Take a deep breath in, let it out. Center yourselves and your body into this moment. Spirit of love and life, we are here buffeted by the winds of all the change and the new normal. We are wrestling with grief. We are afraid. We face our fears with courage and with questions. Spirit of love and life, remind us to breathe deep, to stretch, to bend. Let us remember what Lao Tzu taught, that humans are born soft and supple. and dead they are stiff and hard. Plants are born, tender and pliant. Dead they are brittle and dry. Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death, and whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. Spirit of love and life, may we be disciples of life. May we lean into the beauty and wonder of the spring days upon us. May we embrace the joy, the announcement of new people coming among us, the hope that together we might work to change the environment for the better, the acknowledgement that when we come back together, we will be a wonder to behold. Our hearts go out, as always, to those we hold in our prayers, those who in our congregation have suffered a death in the family, those who are worried about family members who have all the symptoms, those who are separated through plate glass windows to their loved ones in nursing homes and facilities, those who go to work every day for sanitation, for providing our food and our essential services, and interact, those who come to our doors to drop off the boxes, the food, the things we need. May our prayers go out to all who are isolated and feeling so alone. These are the prayers we hold now in a brief silence, and any that you may be typing into the chat box. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, amen. Our sermon theme this morning continues with the overcoming obstacles theme. As those of you who have received electronically our Soul Matters packet for the month know, I said in my introductory letter, we did not know when we planned these topics almost a year ago exactly how much it would mean to explore overcoming obstacles in April of 2020. We're here. I'd love to see a show of hands in the boxes. How many of you spent time on TV last night to watch One World Together at Home? Worldwide broadcast for us to enjoy. I enjoyed watching it. It was a good thing to remember World Health Organization and the Speaker, Secretary General, and Assistant Secretary General from the UN. Many stars, many singers, many commentators inviting us. There was a commercial in there from our local grocery store down here in York, Pennsylvania, the chain that everybody goes to. I won't say their name because it's heresy to say anything other than Wegmans in Rochester, but the chain down here is used quite a bit. They walked through the process of showing how they were trying to keep their shelves filled, trying to keep the physical distancing and the safety of all their customers and their associates or workers. It must be very difficult, but I appreciated their local commercial at that time. And they closed with a tagline, going into the grocery store, to take some for you, leave more for all. Take some for you and leave more for all. What a great way of expressing the way to overcome the obstacles that they're facing. What used to be a 24-hour store now having to shut down overnight to be able to catch up on restocking, to do something about disinfecting and helping spread out the workers in the process. Yeah, we've done a lot to adjust to this new normal. And it's not over yet. My sorrow for the over 60 deaths in Rochester or in Monroe County in New York. My sorrow for the hundreds of thousands across the world, some officially counted and some not. When we are overcoming obstacles, I'd like us to remember that people have been in obstacles before. Every once in a while, we're reminded in our own history, as I saw as the PDF was posted to our newsletter this week, and thank you, Bill, for putting together our history from our archives of the pictures of when our parish house, Channing House at First Unitarian Church downtown, was used as overflow. I'm thinking of how the Rochester Convention Center now has 250 beds set up in it. I'm thinking how people pulled together to meet obstacles in the past. I wasn't alive when people were trying to stay away from public pools and beaches during the scare of polio in our midst before the vaccine came about. But some of you were. We are amazing as human beings about finding our way, even in our isolation, to think about the wider world, to leave more for all, to overcome obstacles together. I remember that this weekend is the anniversary, the 57th anniversary of a particular letter from somebody held in isolation. This was the time in which the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was writing a letter from a Birmingham jail, starting it out, "My dear fellow clergymen," in order to push and prod the people who were comfortable in what they had in remembering to leave more liberty and justice for all. Martin Luther King Jr. said out loud in his letter, Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I've been able to look online at the various statistics, and when I divide them out by race, I see that in this, upstate, outside of the New York City area, part of New York State is analyzed, less than 10% of the population is African American, but more than double that amount is affected by COVID-19. We are in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in this single garment of destiny. And yet, we have inequalities, inequities, which make it so that when we think of our own self, safe in our homes, and ignore the messages across the eras of how we need to think of all, our home safety is just a piece in an imbalance of a lack of safety and resources across our communities. We have many obstacles to overcome. I looked again in the packet for this month's Soul Matters, and in it are quotes from Nelson Mandela. Now, last night on TV, Oprah read one. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it, she quoted. But the one that's printed in the packet said, after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are more hills to climb. Nelson Mandela, writing that from his jail cell, not a month of COVID-19, in upstate Western New York, but in some of the worst prison conditions, in the worst segregation, for 10,052 days of incarceration, writing letters that were often never delivered. Mandela maintained his inner spirit while living in that almost complete isolation, engaging as best as possible through smuggled communications with an outside world that only later, as a world, became outraged by his plight. There's a quote on the Nelson Mandela website that says he was showing the heroism of a man who refused to compromise his moral values in the face of extraordinary punishment. And History.com reminds us of an August 1970 letter in which he wrote, "It's a good thing to help a friend whenever you can, but individual acts of hospitality are not the answer. Those who want to wipe out poverty from the face of the earth must use other weapons. those weapons other than kindness. This is not a problem that can be handled by individual acts of hospitality. The man who attempted to use his own possessions to help the needy would be permanently ruined in due course himself, living on alms. Experience shows that this problem can be effectively tackled only by a disciplined body of persons who are inspired by the same ideas and united in a common cause. When we unite and remember that there are needs out there that need all of us, maybe we will only take a little pity for us and have far more compassion for all. Maybe we will learn that our being inside and away from others, no matter how much we would suffer from it, and we are suffering mentally, psychically, in our souls even, I know as pastor, we must overcome the obstacles that are there for our entire society. And as Harley pointed out, as Maya was pointing out, we will come back together. We can join together. We can make a difference if we do so by lifting our vision beyond our own small cell. In essence, becoming more flexible, as Lao Tzu was telling us in the prayer. For as we stiffen and harden our hearts, we do not bend in what life throws at us. And if our hearts are stiffened, we are like Pharaoh, who do not hear the cries of those who wish to be free, who wish for justice, who wish for equity. Together, we sing our hymns, some of us with our mouths closed but our ears open. Some of us, like me, who love to sing and know it rejuvenates my spirit. Overcome your obstacles, to raise your voices, to sign on, to keep reading the emails of the needs, for resources of our time, talent, and treasure. Remember too that we as a church community are not isolated. We have at least 63 official caring stewards who have reached out to people within this congregation. We are people who also gave to the minister's discretionary fund over the holidays, who have given that we might have money to help people who are having trouble meeting some immediate need. I have already, and Sherry has already worked to distribute some of those funds. That's a network of mutuality. That network of mutuality that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King remembered from his jail cell calls for us not only to support our community beyond our individual selves, beyond our own church, but to look as well at what's needed. I appreciate the social justice folks who are saying on their chat, those who are able to get a government check and realize that it is not needed for them might be thinking of the ways in which it will go towards a greater cooperative effort. For if we are to overcome obstacles, we must remember that those of us who have need the chance to stretch out to those who are cooperating in partnership to make a difference. Yes, true, as Mandela said, Mandela speaking to his own child, if somebody gave all of their wealth alone, they would then be in a situation of needing alms. But if we remember to network together, we can overcome obstacles. This is an exciting time for the congregation. We have watched worship services We have found ways to link people who can bring groceries to those who cannot, in good conscience, to their family members, go out and be exposed to get those groceries. We have been amazed to see our teens speak up, our youth saying out loud to bring us back, to remember what was important to us when we came round to thinking of our resolutions of what we do for our world. We are amazed to find a new minister, the excitement of someone now announced to come to us in the midst of a time in which no one can travel, and yet committed to being among this group of wonderful people. And thank you. We know of our congregant who went to New York City to serve for 10 days in their expertise as a mandatory worker. And thank you to those who show up at Wegmans, to those who come by and pick up our trash or deliver our packages. And thank you to the people who keep the power running. And thank you to the people who show up to do repairs on our heating systems on the chilly days when really they too would rather be at home away from others. And thank you to all of you who are teaching your children in the midst of chaos. And thank you for all of you who reach out to one another, because a voice on the other end of the line makes a difference. We are overcoming obstacles. And as Nelson Mandela said, once we have gotten past this mountain, we will see the others ahead of us. May our vision return. May our vision remind us that we need a little for ourselves, but to have the rest for everyone else. Blessed be all.
Please join me now in singing our final hymn, I Know I Can.
Troubles wait at every turn. I know I can go on. When sorrow hears my soul, and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey's long, the destination is near. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
I know that we will go on. Every Sunday it is a joy to be with all of you. And we hope that this spiritual practice of gathering together nourishes our spirits and equips us, strengthens us for the journey ahead. We engage also in the spiritual practice each week of collecting an offering, asking people to contribute financially to support the congregation, but also to support our wider community. We've started during this time of physical distancing to split our plate each week with community organizations so that money more quickly gets into the hands of our community partners, which means that twice in a row, we take on the same community partner. So this week, we invite you to give generously to the Center for Youth's Food Bank, as well as to the congregation. And you'll have a variety of different ways that you can give. But in addition to that, we invite folks to engage in a spiritual practice together each week. And this week, it's really clear. Our homegrown Harley Pinto has invited us to join the UU Drawdown Challenge. So sign up for a team. If you really like one of those cool patches, be a team leader. I am looking for a team to join. So sign up, get engaged, and let's see what we can all do together when we work together. I'm so excited to be in spiritual community with you. Your offering and your response to this invitation will now be received. I invite you to extinguish your chalice with me. Please join in our unison words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Spirit of life, help us to remember to hold ourselves and each other with tenderness and grace. As we meet each new obstacle, let us take 3 gentle breaths. One for ourselves, one for our loved ones, and one for the world. With those words of Laura Solomon, go forth this week and then come back again in love. Blessed be. Amen. Stick around for coffee hour if you'd like.